Hello there. Having a job in Starfleet is often dangerous. It's a job that, although is very rewarding, it comes with a lot of hazards. Meeting strange new alien races is both awesome and amazing and sometimes awe-inspiring, but sometimes it's also very dangerous. As too is every world you encounter. Technically speaking, every single planet you set foot on. You run the risk of contagion, some kind of hostile animal or plant life or some other environmental factor that you've simply not accounted for with your routine inoculations in sickbay. There's also all the other things that's happening, like all the parasites and bacteria and microbes and other things you're carrying that you distribute onto a planet. These are basically risks that Starfleet officers and other space travelers have to risk on an everyday basis, just to venture beyond the final frontier. And it's a risk that is worth taking, but there are ways to minimize it. One such way is an environmental suit, but who wants to sit inside of a claustrophobic spacesuit when you could have the life support belt? This was an evolution of this technology experimented with by Starfleet at least by the late 23rd century. They were in relatively common use by Starfleet by the 2260s and 70s, although exactly when they went into more widespread use and when they were exactly developed is a little unclear. They work by creating a force field around your body. This works to filter out such contaminants and also to create a sort of pocket of an atmosphere around you separate to the one that you are walking through, allowing you to move around in hostile environments, difficult environments and terrain where the atmosphere isn't necessarily pleasant, or even in the complete vacuum of space. And although it is a force field, it is not actually in any way defensive. A phaser or other weapon will easily penetrate the force field without a problem. The force field is purely an atmospheric barrier, not an actual interference for other objects, even allowing solid objects pass through. In other words, you can still interact with your environment, touch things, pick things up, walk on the floor without sliding around on a force field that's projecting underneath your feet. So it is a force field, but it's a very hazy one. It creates a pale yellow illumination around your body, similar to a sort of aura when it is active. It's purely battery powered and needs to be charged when you return to the ship, but you can transport down to a planet with it active, and this will instantly protect you from any environmental factors that you haven't, pun intended, factored in before beaming down. Again, it is not a defensive system against weapons or other such things. So, if you run into a hungry sailot or a pack of wild targs, then you're pretty much going to have to rely on your wits and your phaser. But generally speaking, this thing was a revolution of technology. It was a natural evolution, as I said, of the environmental suit or the spacesuit, but it was less cumbersome and allowed for more physical, textural interaction of your environment. Obviously, when you're wearing a spacesuit, your visibility is somewhat impaired, as are your other senses being dulled, such as your hearing, and particularly your ability to manipulate your environment. The gloves of modern spacesuits by the 23rd century are very good. They still allow you to push buttons and they allow you to pick things up with ease, but effectively you are still wearing gloves, and as anyone knows, when you're wearing gloves, you can't always manipulate objects, tools, as easily as you can with your bare hands. So the revolution of the introduction of the environmental belt was a huge leap forward in the safety and protection of Starfleet and other Federation personnel in their exploration and exploitation of new worlds that they encounter, giving them safety for both themselves and the local environment that they were moving around in order to allow them to establish if there was any toxic plants or native bugs or whatever that might bother them, and it stopped them from interfering with the natural development of the planet, at least initially, and not introducing foreign agents. An outstanding piece of technology that should have gone into more widespread use, but for whatever reason, it didn't. Though we've got no definitive explanation as to why the Federation Starfleet stopped using this remarkable piece of technology, Maybe we can assume it caused cancer or sterility or something. Whatever the reason, they stopped widely using it. However, similar technologies have been developed over the years, such as the biodampener used by the Hansens family. This allowed them to move around an environment while masking their life signs. This didn't work in the same way, as it basically didn't mean that they weren't breathing the local atmosphere, but the way it kind of hugged their body and created a little field around them was very similar. We also see with races like the Borg, they do carry personal shields, although that is not a descendant of this specific technology. We do know that within the universe there are such similar technologies as personal shields for military and non-military purposes. This was an early attempt at a benign version of that technology, and one that, in my opinion, should have gone into more widespread use. But let me know in the comment section below why you think this technology wasn't more widely adopted by Starfleet, or do you think it's just a choice? Starfleet personnel don't like it. Riker thinks it's microwaving his nutsack or something. Whatever you think, let me know in the comment section below.